What's going on, guys? It's Thomas from the Switch Stop. I'm joined by PJ, and this is the sixth ever episode of Nintendo Tonight, the only podcast that used to always be uploaded on Sundays. Now it's uploaded on Fridays, and we're no longer bi-weekly. We're kind of just whenever we feel like it, I guess. It's going to be more often than bi-weekly, so I guess at least bi-weekly, which a lot of you guys have been asking for, which is, really great to hear. I'm really glad you guys are liking the podcast. Obviously, it's different from our normal content, but we enjoy making it, so I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. So we're recording this on June 24th. It'll be coming out June 26th, and around this time, we should be talking. Man, there were so many great E3 presentations a couple of weeks ago. We got to talk about all the new stuff all the companies announced, but
Nope.
as I'm sure, no, like as I'm sure you all know, no, that's just did not happen. However, after just a radio silence for so long, we actually have had three presentations within the past week. As of today, within the past week, we had three presentations from Nintendo slash companies that Nintendo is very close with, aka the Pokemon company. We're not going to talk about the first Pokemon Presents because we already talked about that. That's the one with Pokemon Smile. GOAT game. Also, something like Pokemon Snap. I don't really care. It's Pokemon Smile is, where that one was at.
Yeah, of course.
Then after that, on the 21st, I believe, we did get a game, a small game called Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's a pretty small title, but that did get an update. We're going to talk about that. And then this huge game, everyone was really excited for it. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes coming to the... Wait. Okay, hold on. This just in. Okay, we did not get Diamond and Pearl remakes, and Twitter lost their about that. We're going to talk about that and what we actually got instead, which was Pokemon Unite, which is a League of Legends style MOBA developed in part by Tencent Games. So yeah, that's definitely a curveball. We're going to talk about that and answer some of your guys' questions all in this episode of Nintendo Tonight.
Yeah, I just want to say the beauty of moving to the new channel and everything is not having those restrictions, right? We can upload this whenever we want. And obviously we talked about last time about, like time constraints and just like things limiting us from, doing whatever we want, whenever we want with the podcast to be in line with getting good views for the channel. So yeah, expect more frequent episodes. It's very simple to do, and it's, something that Thomas and I really enjoy. So, you guys should definitely look forward to that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so with that out of the way, I mean, enough talk about the podcast itself. Let's get into that pretty small game I mentioned earlier. What was it called?
Yeah, Smash Bros.
Mash
Ultimate. Yeah,
Sisters? Yeah, something like that. I'm not sure. PJ,
my
I'm pretty
favorite
sure you're
pastime.
a pretty big fan of this game. I don't really know. I
Yeah,
don't
something
even
like
know
that.
what it is. So
Yeah,
you
something
you
like
can
that. Something
start
like
this
that.
one off.
Yeah, so obviously the long-awaited arms fighter turned out to be Min Min. Pretty interesting, to be honest. I just saw the character. I didn't really look too far into the actual presentation. I saw a little bit of the moveset, but honestly, Min Min looks pretty exciting from just like the little clips that I've seen from Sakurai's presentation. I mean, what did you think of it?
Yeah, so even though I'm not a huge fan of whatever this game is, I don't really know. I did actually, wake up early to watch this presentation. Just because, I was just doing it on a whim. And I really did like the way this character looked. We did upload a video kind of talking about just how Min Min, means that spirits can now be in Smash Ultimate. So if you want to, or that made no sense. Spirits can now be fighters in Smash Ultimate. There we
Yep.
go. So if you want to check that out, obviously it's on the Switch Stop channel, but
Yeah.
just in terms of Min Min as a fighter, like herself, we didn't really talk about that. I think Min Min is just super unique. I'm really liking how you can switch the different arms. It just gives a different gives a kind of unique flair to her. And on top of that, her A and B, or her light and heavy, can like control different arms independently. That's not something we see often in this game, as in we've ever seen in Smash Bros before. So it'll be really, really unique to see how she gets, picked up in the comp scene. I'm not super into comp Smash Bros at all, and as in like I don't play it competitively, so I don't really care about watching it competitively, but it should be interesting. I'll definitely keep my eye open on just, what is going to happen with that, because I don't know, like the Smash Bros community, I feel like they don't really respond well to change, and Min Min's a pretty
Oh,
huge change.
definitely not. Yep,
So
definitely not.
I don't know. When she comes out, we might be hearing like, "Oh, she's broken," blah blah blah, before people actually learn, the ins and outs
Hmm.
of the character. But I feel like that happens with like every DLC character, so I don't know.
Yeah, ever since Bayonetta and Cloud's inclusion into Smash for Wii U and 3DS, I don't know how involved you were with kind of like the community of that,
I know
but
they were broken. I know Cloud
yeah,
and Bayonetta were actually just busted.
yeah, yeah. I remember it was like the top four of Evo one year. It was like Bayonetta, Cloud, and then Bayonetta versus Bayonetta, and then the grand final turned out to be a Bayonetta versus Bayonetta, and people started walking out because they were so bored of that matchup, and like fair
Yeah, of
enough. But
course.
how I've seen it is all DLC characters are pretty much busted at some point. I mean, a lot of people said Hero was busted, and you don't really hear anything of that, at least from how severe, Cloud and Bayonetta were broken,
Hmm.
about Hero being broken like today. So, maybe when Min Min gets into that competitive scene and the competitive pool, it'll be like, oh yeah, this is really busted, and like I can't recover when I get off stage and all that. But I'm pretty sure that they'll find a way to kind of go against what they actually said about Min Min being broken. But the inclusion of Min Min was pretty cool. Once again, I would have liked to see Springman, but obviously he's an assist trophy, and we haven't really had any proof of that rule being broken yet. Referring back to
Yeah, of course.
our video about the spirits, but aside from Min Min's inclusion, like that video even like talking about like spirits being fighters itself, like this is a pretty crazy concept now. I mean, like we didn't really go super in depth in like the 8-minute video compared to like something that we could go on for half an hour about. But this is like kind of crazy. I mean, the amount of characters that could be in like Rayman, Gino, and just even more that we mentioned.
Yeah. It's exciting to say the least, and this is actually kind of a different subject, but still related to this. I just think it's a really interesting like food for thought scenario. One thing that I know is pretty often in games developed by companies that have a bit more of a greedy reputation than Nintendo.
Yeah.
Specifically, I'm thinking Rainbow Six Siege had a big
Mm-hmm.
problem with this by Ubisoft, and I'm pretty sure
EA has a whole problem with it as like
one
a
of the Battlefield
company.
games.
Uh-huh.
But what the thing is that they do is they, intentionally or not, I'm pretty sure this was intentional, at least in some part on especially for Ubisoft, because I'm pretty familiar with Siege, or at least was. They would make the like new operators, which is the equivalent of a DLC fighter, I would say. They would make the new operators just completely busted. I remember there was like an operation where there were like a couple of operators introduced into the game, like Ella and like Legion, I think, and Ying, and they were introduced to the game, and they were just straight busted. Like you would see them in every single match. Their utility was just off the chain, and so many people, like paid money, like microtransactions, to unlock these characters instantly just because they were so good. And then Ubisoft nerfed the out of them, and then they just weren't really like viable at all. And so then a lot of people were like, hey, well, you just made me spend money in this game because the game was completely unplayable if you didn't have these operators. Then you nerfed them, so I feel like my purchase is kind of lost. We're not
Mm-hmm.
at that point with Nintendo. Like maybe if Nintendo released like a Bayonetta type broken character into Smash Ultimate now and then never
Yeah,
nerfed them, it would be like that. And then like, once everyone bought them, then nerfed them. We're not at
definitely.
that
Yep.
point with Smash Ultimate. It's just an interesting like food for thought thing. Like when you
Yep.
purchase a DLC update, like are you entitled to the character being that powerful forever because that's when you bought them, or like it's just an interesting topic.
Oh, definitely. I think Nintendo has learned from their mistakes about Bayonetta and Cloud and Smash 4. Obviously, they came back, but they were significantly nerfed in Ultimate. I don't know if you were aware, but
Yeah.
they definitely were. And that's a great point. I mean, all DLC, like as I said, I think is busted at least some point, but the meta just kind of evens out eventually. Like for example, at least Overwatch I know does this thing called PTR where they test out like the new heroes before they're like released into the official game, so people can like try out the character, and like if something is extremely busted, people can test it out and
Yeah,
report the bug and everything.
for sure.
That's sort of an idea to go along with your little with your food for thought you just said about broken characters and all that. So I feel like I just feel there won't really be any sort of Cloud and Bayonetta problem though. Aside, once again, I mean, Nintendo doesn't usually put out like specific patch notes, which was something I was really critical of in Smash 4 and the beginning of
As you
Ultimate.
should be, yeah, of
Yeah. Oh
course.
yeah, of course. I mean, the fact that they weren't like nerfing characters or buffing characters and everything, even now kind of bothers me. Like I kind of felt like they could do something like Fortnite, and what I mean like Fortnite is kind of adjust the meta every, I don't know, I guess in Fortnite it's seasons, but adjust the meta of characters by, nerfing some and buffing some to kind of mix up the roster. But obviously with the Smash Ultimate roster being like as big as it is, I don't think that it needs to come to that, but that's also just a little idea aside.
Yeah, of course. So okay, moving on from that like kind of
Rant.
balancing,
Yep. Yep.
rant that I just think that's interesting. But moving on
Yeah, me too.
anyway, your thoughts on Min Min as a character. I know you said you'd rather Springman. How would you rank Min Min compared to the other DLC fighters we got? Like would you say okay, so for me, I would say Min Min is below Banjo or above or yeah, no, below Banjo in terms of excitement, meaning that Banjo is more exciting,
Oh yeah,
but
okay.
I'd say pretty much above everyone else. I know Joker probably is above Min Min for a lot of people just because of the pure shock of that. I just don't really care about Persona, so it didn't really do much for me. But I'd
Yeah,
say
me neither.
I'd say, even though I'm not a huge Banjo fan, I've played Banjo 1 like once on the N64, but I would say Banjo, top just because of how hyped that was. Um but then I'd say it's probably Min Min coming in second, which is a pretty good place considering there are like five other DLC characters, not counting Min Min or Banjo. You know, it's
Yeah.
just kind of weird.
Yeah, so do you mean in terms of like
Your
shock factor, I
excitement for
guess,
I'd say
or
your excitement for the character. But
okay.
I think that also kind of comes in hand with shock factor. Like
Yeah.
I was shocked that Banjo, like I was so shocked that they actually did Banjo. Not shocked because I mean we kind of all knew it was going to happen, but it felt like such a big thing that I wanted to go and try playing Banjo when he dropped.
Yeah.
So they somewhat go hand in hand, but yeah, like
S-
your personal excitement, PJ.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of go through the characters, then I'll rank it later. I think probably the one that I was most surprised about, like, and this might come as a shock to you, but Piranha Plant,
Oh
obviously the
yeah,
first
yeah,
character
yeah.
being revealed,
100%.
I was like,
In
what
that
the
direct, that was
hell?
nuts.
Yeah, like I was like, dude, like like the first thing that I thought was like they really put in a Mario enemy over Waluigi. This is crazy. So I was
Yeah.
just surprised about that, like that entire idea in itself. Um, but about like honestly, the first pass, like nothing was really like, oh my god, except for Banjo. I mean, like if I'm gonna
Mhm.
be honest, like I don't really have any like care towards Joker, Hero, Terry, or Bleth. Like I think I was probably the most disappointed when Beleth was revealed because I'm like I don't hate Fire Emblem the series, but I hate the amount of the amount of representatives that Smash has. I feel like it's very overrepresented. You can take that as you will. That might be a
I
controversial
would say
opinion.
that it is like definitively overrepresented. Just if you
Yeah,
look in terms of sales, like
yeah,
Fire Emblem does not sell that well at all.
yeah. It's
Like
like every
yeah,
single game, like every single Smash game, Fire Emblem has these polls in Japan, and it's like based off Famitsu, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but
yeah, you're
it's
right.
out
It
of
is
one of
Famitsu.
those big magazines, and it's like the top one or two characters, whoever win that from the most recent Fire Emblem game, end up getting in the game, and oh man, I don't know. I just ever since Corrin was revealed in Smash 4, I just have sort of been really kind of pissed when like I see like a Fire Emblem like newcomer revealed.
Oh, for
except
sure.
except for Crom, because I thought he was done so wrong in Smash 4 in that trailer when Robin was revealed. But
Yeah.
honestly, I think the character I was most surprised about was Piranha Plant. Second was Banjo, and third, I'm gonna go with, like, I don't know. I feel like Joker, because it was so, like, out of field, and it was, obviously, like, Persona game, and it's been something that's never been done before on, like, Nintendo systems, and, like, the stage it was on, being at the Game Awards and all that. So that's definitely my top three. Min Min, where I'd put Min Min, probably like fifth, or yeah, fifth probably, because, like, we knew it was an arms rep, and we knew it wasn't Springman. So it was like, I saw the trailer, it was like, okay, this is pretty cool, but I wasn't like, oh
Yeah,
my
for sure.
god, like,
Yeah,
Piranha
freaking
Plant and
out.
Banjo was, because, like,
Yeah,
those
I got you.
two I freaked out about. Like, I didn't have, like, reactions like that ever since, like, Smash 4. So yeah, that's that for me.
Yeah, I think the reason I like Min Min is because even though people think I hate arms, I did like enjoy the game. I have 40 hours. No, I have like 55 hours in it, which is like you don't have that much time in a game. Like you don't play a game for 55 hours, which is literally over 2 days straight, and then go, yeah, I kind of hate this. Like that's just not that you don't do that. So like I did enjoy the game. I just think it could have been so much more. But
Oh,
yeah, so like
definitely, yeah.
I just did enjoy it. Okay, just going back to your Fire Emblem point of like a while back, I just quickly want to shit on Fire Emblem just a little bit. Um, no, but
Go ahead.
so the thing is, Fire Emblem Three Houses, like people always say, whenever someone says Fire Emblem is overrepresented, they're like, no, it's one of Nintendo's biggest franchises. But that's just not true. Like Fire Emblem Three
In
Houses,
Japan, it is. Maybe in Japan.
okay, in Japan maybe,
Yeah.
but if you look worldwide,
Yes, of
Fire Emblem
course. Yeah.
Three Houses is by far like the best-selling Fire Emblem game. It sold 2.87 million copies. Guess what? Guess what? Wait, okay, that game came out in what, like July 2019.
Something like
Guess
that.
what game? Yeah, something like that. Guess what game came out October 2019? So
Shoot.
like a bunch of months later, like 3, 4, I don't know. A couple months later, and has sold 2.73. So only like a 15 or 0.15 million less, which
Go
is not
ahead.
much in the grand scheme of things. Ring Fit Adventure.
I
Ring
mean,
Fit
to be fair,
Adventure.
it was
Like
it was
come
like
on.
it was a unique concept. Like, the fact I'm defending Fire Emblem was a little crazy to me, but I'll say this: I feel like, the Smash roster is very based, not based, kind of, I don't know.
Smash roster is based.
Yeah, like,
Just based ended there. Based back up.
no, like, I feel like a lot of the roster is based on what Japan says. Kind of
Oh, you're
articulating my
100%
words a
right.
little bit.
Yeah.
That took me a
No, it's
while to
very
get out. Holy.
Japan centric. It's
Yeah,
Japan
yeah,
focused.
yeah, yeah. So I can understand why people can just hop on that train of Fire Emblem was one of Nintendo's biggest franchises, like, stuff like that. So I can understand that, but outside of Japan, it doesn't compare to a Mario or a Pokemon, or, any, like that.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's
I feel
just
like people
it kind
kind
of
of have their
annoys me.
opinions
Yeah.
skewed with, just, like, Japan's representation of Fire Emblem itself.
100%. 100%. Um. And yeah. Wait. Don't let that last point. No one take that last point and say that I'm on Ring Fit Adventure. I like that game. I own it. So I can't see. I won't see any of you guys saying Thomas hates Ring Fit Adventure because
Hmm.
that game's. I thought it was good for what it was, which is a weird workout game where a sentient ring says my sweat is shiny and beautiful. That is a real voice clip from the game.
Yeah, I feel
Kind of
like that
creeps me
game
out.
just, like, sold, like, as well as it did, because it was just a new concept, and I think that's
It
pretty
went
much it.
nuts though. The past
Yeah.
when that new group of people bought the Animal Crossing for Switch, Ring Fit
Oh yeah.
Adventure started selling out because of quarantine. Everyone wanted to work out. Which
Stay
okay,
fit,
side
man.
note. Yeah, I'm not the most fit person in the world, but I feel like I have general grounds to discuss the topic. Ring Fit Adventure will like it'll make you lose fat, but you will not be able to build muscle or build
Oh,
much
of course
muscle
not.
with
Yeah.
Ring Fit Adventure. You need weights for that, or like
Of
different
course.
calisthenics, because most of the like exercises that you do in Ring Fit are like more yoga or more balance focused than actually like tearing down and building up muscle. So if you're like looking for a workout, it's there are far worse places you can start. I would say it's really good in like, starting and giving you that motivation, but if you actually want to like get shredded, you have to, you know, invest in like some weights or whatever.
Yep. Workout advice from Thomas of the Switch Stop,
You know,
everyone. Be
I
sure to
as the
take
most
notes.
qualified, as the
Uh
most
huh. Of
qualified
course.
person to give. No,
Of course.
I wanted to say that because I've seen like I saw like a bunch of like stuff on my recommended actually Ring Fit Adventure related. I don't know why because I haven't been looking up Ring Fit stuff, but I saw a bunch of like Nintendo fans going like, "This is how you get ripped," and it's like, no, no, it's not. So I just want to put that out there in case there are any like kids trying to get swole listening to this. It's like don't listen to Nintendo YouTubers.
Um,
I say this as a Nintendo YouTuber. Go find someone who knows what they're talking about. None of us know what we're talking about when it comes to
oh my.
fitness.
Yeah, I mean, there you have it. Yeah, I think we can pretty much move on past Min at least. Another thing I wanted to say just like about the Smash presentation though is the Mii fighters.
Oh my god, yeah. Bro,
Vault
Vault Boy?
Boy. Yeah, that
What?
was yeah.
That was so out. I even said last podcast that the Mii fighters are the coolest part now because they're so out of left field, and that was even out of left field for me. I thought that for me fighter. Okay, I thought I thought that Mii fighters were now the new place for like indies. I did not think that Fallout would be like I did not think but I mean in hindsight it's so obvious because Bethesda and Nintendo have been so like close for the Switch, but as like I wouldn't have thought Fallout because Fallout is one of the only Bethesda franchises that hasn't
Yep.
gotten any representation. Like Elder Scrolls, we got Skyrim, we got both Dooms on the Switch. Or well, I don't know if actually Doom Eternal's out yet, but it's coming, I think.
Yeah, it
We
was
got
it was like
Wolfenstein.
delayed. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
delayed, remember? Yeah, yeah.
I just don't know if it actually has like, come out yet
Yeah, I
for the
personally don't
Switch.
follow that, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Wolfenstein, like Fallout is would be one of the easiest games that people really want it. I put a Fallout New Vegas in my Nintendo Direct, but that's never gonna happen because the rights of that game are all split up to hell because Obsidian Entertainment, made that game, but it was published by Bethesda, so it's like the rights are all messed up. But you could get a Fallout 4 port, you could get a Fallout, 3 remaster. Those would do bangers on Switch, but it hasn't happened. So I was like, if it's going to be a Bethesda, which was not even on my mind, I was like, there's no way it's Fallout. But then Fault Boy, I mean, it makes sense. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, I didn't realize like I don't know, like I just didn't really like take your comments from last episode like really seriously. And there we go, we get the Mii Fighter costume of Vault Boy, which is like was so surprising to me. I was like, what? But it was really cool. Like I feel like that was one of the highlights of the presentation, obviously, other than Min's reveal and the moveset, but yeah, that was definitely really cool. I mean, definitely looking forward to more Mii Fighter costumes, especially if they decide to put another Fire Emblem character into the game. I'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, not that part. Not, well, no. Um, okay, I not look forward to the Fire Emblem part, but I do share your sentiment when it comes to the Mii fighters. I would honestly say that the inclusion of Vault Boy as the Mii fighter has really cemented Smash Ultimate as not just like everyone says, oh, it's gaming's icons like in one game, or it's like a celebration of gaming. I always have seen Smash Bros as a celebration of Nintendo plus other franchises that are similar to Nintendo in
Yep.
terms of like theming. Like
Hmm.
you got an exception of like Metal Gear Solid, but besides like one or two exceptions, you could even say maybe Final Fantasy is an exception. I'm not going to say Bayonetta because that's a Nintendo exclusive, or at least Bayonetta 2 was. But like Mega Man, Sonic, those are huge inclusions for third parties, but they're very Nintendo-esque in terms of like their branding and their general vibe and fan base. Like the people who play Fallout and the people who play Nintendo, like there's not a ton of overlap between those two groups. So
Hmm.
now it really feels like Fallout, at least in my eyes, Fallout might as well be like it kind of just is another shooter. Like I know it's not just another shooter, like Fallout's a big thing, but it's weird to see like like something from a game franchise that I kind of lump in with like Call of Duty and other shooters of that sort of caliber, which I know they're not even close to the same. I'm about to get roasted, but that was just my Nintendo kind of fan just lumping in all those looking things together. It's weird to see that in Smash, but I'm really excited for it because it just it shows their scope of what they can do,
Yep.
like what they're willing to put in this game.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think Sonic and Snake's inclusion into Brawl laid out the groundwork for characters like Vault Boy being represented in Smash. The way that he is, I suppose. I just
Yeah.
that's why I consider Brawl one of like the best games and Smash games period because it just like did something that was so insane, including Sonic and Snake from Metal Gear,
Oh
weirdly
yeah,
enough,
for sure.
like, into Smash. Like that's why it was so crazy. But
It's still
yeah.
so crazy to me that in that
Hmm.
initial Brawl trailer, they revealed Snake before Sonic, which like to
Yeah.
me means that
Uh-huh.
Snake was the first newcomer and not Sonic, and that's just nuts. That's just like
Hmm.
that's so weird.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Um yeah, we're about 30 minutes in. So I think we can move on if unless you have any other comments to say about, the reveal or Smash or anything.
No, PJ, I just wanted to put this out there and you guys listening, let us know if this would be something you're interested in watching in terms of like core switched up video and not a podcast topic. I
Yep.
guess we could do it for another podcast though. Future Mii Fighter costumes, because I mean I do feel like the
Oh yeah.
sky's the limit. So that
Yeah,
would be interesting to speculate.
definitely.
Uh, the only reason I even thought of that is because I'm looking at my God of War box art because I got that game for PS4 and I've been playing it. It's freaking nuts. And I was thinking, oh, what if they did a Kratos me? Because that would be pretty easy. Like
Oh yeah.
give him like
Uh-huh.
make him angry and like you can make him the skin ash white because goes to Sparta. That's his whole backstory and give him the red face like war paint and the beard. Like I feel like that would be pretty easy
Yep.
in terms of me. Like the only thing you would actually have to give him is the clothes and like the red thing on his eye. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that would be a cool idea definitely for like a future Mii fighter, like as you said, sky's the limit.
that
So,
would be that would be so fun to make
next
like a thumbnail
presentation, yeah.
for.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
The
definitely.
like literally mocking up like a Kratos me or like a I
Mhm.
don't know who else what about like a Halo like Master Chief me, like that would be so fun to
I Yeah, I
make a
feel like
thumbnail for.
Master Chief, yeah, I feel like Master Chief should be like a fighter before
Oh, for sure.
Mii
But then
fighter, but
again,
yeah.
like they've done that with so many. Like Gino, I think was a me fighter first.
Yep. Yeah, hopefully
So
we get to see him finally make an appearance in this fighter pass.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So moving on after that very, very long Smash discussion, which I hope you guys did enjoy, because the channel didn't enjoy it. But
Oh, that's rough. Yeah,
yeah,
all the
for real.
Smash videos never do well on the channel. I think they're good, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
whatever.
and, except for that one Echo video that you did that, did like, 1.1 million or something like that.
My God, I still don't know how that one blew
Yeah,
up, but
no
we'll move
clue.
on.
Yeah,
Huh.
moving on. So today we got, or not today, well, we're recording this on the 24th. So I guess 2 days ago we got the reveal of that big Pokemon Presents presentation where they were teasing that they have
Diamond
some
and
big
Pearl remix.
project.
Let's go, baby.
And,
Fine. At least it better be new Pokemon Let's Go games. Come on.
yeah,
What did
I
we get?
mean,
What did we
yeah,
get,
so
PJ?
we got Pokemon Unite, and
What
it's
the
basically a MOBA.
Pokemon United States of America? What is this?
uh,
Pokemon Corona Pokemon Second
oh.
Amendment. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah, but Pokemon Unite is basically a MOBA, which is similar, or not a similar, but is like the game genre of something like a League of Legends. And when I saw this, I felt, or I kind of went through a few emotions, such as like, thank God we didn't get Let's Go Johto because they literally gave us the biggest hint on planet Earth that that game was going to be announced. But I guess they just decided to not do that, which I'm completely fine with. If you guys listened to last episode, I was very against the Let's Go whole like type of game. So like I'm glad they didn't do that, but we got something like crazy, like this MOBA, and they're actually partnering up. Like Pokemon Company is partnering up with Tencent, who is actually helping Nintendo bring the Switch to China, I believe. So just expanding on that partnership, and helping them make this game. So just overall an idea, I'm willing to give it a chance because it's a free to play. Obviously, you're gonna probably have to pay in-game transactions to like purchase like the entire roster of Pokemon that you can play as, because that's how League does it. And I'm assuming because it's a free to play. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be checking it out, considering it's coming out on the Switch and mobile devices probably next year or maybe end of the year. They didn't give a release date, but yeah, I'm excited to check it out, definitely.
Yeah, I would say that's probably coming later this year. You
Hmm.
don't really announce that style of game and then let it fade into obscurity by not releasing
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right.
relatively soon.
You're
Um,
right. Yep.
I think honestly, okay, so as I think I mentioned this at least in the intro, Twitter just blew up when this game was
Oh
announced,
yeah,
and
you
not
did.
in a good way. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, Pokemon," and just kind of just died. Everyone was like, "Bruh," and everyone hates this game immediately. Um, I think there were definitely like in what they actually showed off, there were pros and cons. Pros being generally, I think the game looked relatively fun. It looked pretty engaging and it looked like it balanced, being a MOBA but putting a Pokemon spin on it. Cons being, well, it was just kind of the way they like showed it off. I hate how companies do this, like especially at E3, which this isn't, but like companies will put like teams of like people who don't play games often, like or like don't really know what they're doing, and they'll put teams against each other and make it like I don't know. I hate that like fake gaming tournament setup that companies do to show off their newest like online competitive game. And the Pokemon Company did that here, which I don't think I've ever seen Nintendo or the Pokemon Company do that before to advertise a game, but they did it here. Just kind of generally bugs me. But overall, I think this game does not deserve the reputation that it immediately got, but it kind of I guess does deserve it in the fact that the Pokemon Company was an absolute just whoever decided to announce the presentation for today or 2 days ago in the way that they did, they
Hmm.
deserve to be fired, frankly, because they do not understand how the internet works. All logic, all anyone with functioning brains, which I would assume is most people, know that the internet has no functioning brain cells. Just everyone on the internet combined, you, me, anyone listening to this,
Oh yeah.
we all have a combined maybe 3 brain cells. Just like on an average base level. And I would say that that's a detriment to the Pokemon Company because you do have to kind of think, hey, what would someone who isn't very smart interpret of this announcement? Because a lot of people, if you actually thought about this, there's no way they were announcing more mainline games this year. I tweeted about how it wasn't going to be Diamond and Pearl, and I didn't even think it was going to be Let's Go until you told me about that massive hint thing, which I
Hmm.
still don't understand what they were doing with that. But like,
Yeah.
of course, it wasn't going to be a new mainline game. The best we could have hoped for is something like Detective Pikachu, but then they would have just showed that off in the last presentation because they showed off
Yeah.
freaking new Pokemon Snap there, so it's not like they were holding anything back. So what they should have done is they could have saved this game's reputation in one word. If they had said in the presentation where they announced Pokemon Snap and the Goat Pokemon Sleep, if they had just said instead of like, yeah, next week there's going to be a new Pokemon Presents, if they had just said next week there's going to be a new mobile Pokemon Presents, or like Pokemon Presents focused on a new mobile project, like literally just that would have saved this game's reputation because no one would have went in with it
Hmm.
no one would have went into it excited because everyone would have been like, okay, it's going to be a new mobile project, and like all the Pokemon Go fans wouldn't have thought it would be a Pokemon Go update because it's a new mobile project. Most people wouldn't have thought it would be Pokemon Sleep related because once again, new project. So they could have like saved this game's entire reputation with one word, but because they didn't, and people had an entire week to let their minds run wild theorizing of what the Pokemon Company could come up with, and then they came up with what is by all means, I mean, it doesn't look amazing. It looks pretty good. A decent MOBA for mobile and Nintendo Switch. I mean, like, come on. What are they
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, I agree with kind of what you're saying here. the wording definitely could have been a bit better. I think they should have just put it all into one presentation. Like, say that, the gameplay
Oh,
wasn't
for
ready to
sure,
be
yeah.
shown. Maybe just whatever they did last week, obviously announcing Pokemon Snap and all that. Why not just make it like a Pokemon Direct, but like, name it Pokemon Presents, obviously, and just like put all of it like into that one.
Or
Um,
even here's a thought: just
yeah.
name it Pokemon Direct. They already have that. Like, I
Uh,
still don't understand
well,
why they did Pokemon Presents. I don't get what that
see,
means.
yeah, so the thing is, I think the reason that they did that is because Pokemon Directs are normally talking about mainline series games. They want to
Oh,
create a distinction between, like, those side games and, like, actual mainline
fair
series
enough.
games.
Well, I think if they
So,
did it all in one, it could have technically been named Pokemon Direct because they did talk about the
I still,
DLC.
yeah, well, I mean, I guess, but it wasn't, like, anything too crazy that they
Yeah,
were, like,
fair enough,
talking
fair
about
enough.
direct worthy. So I think they should have still did a Pokemon Presents. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, this game is getting way too hated on. I mean, I think the reason they branded it as a big announcement is because, like the type of game that it is, like the level that League of Legends is on, like for gaming worldwide, is just like otherworldly, I guess. And it's been so popular for so long that, Nintendo kind of wants to get in on that, obviously. And, this is the way that they're doing it. And I feel like they kind of call their own big presentations for games that they want to blow up and do good, rather than for what other people think, like of what you're talking about, like from people on the internet.
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
why I think they branded it as that. But I agree. I mean, like when you have a bunch of Johto Pokemon behind you as plushies, and like a whole line of them, and just hinting at like Eevee and Pikachu and all of that, just leading towards a next Let's Go game. And then you reveal a MOBA? Like, like
What are they doing?
I
Yeah.
I was just so confused. And I mean, like I'm not gonna hate on the guy for having Pokemon plushes in the background, but it was just too perfect to not have announced, like, Let's Go Johto, which I did not want to see, by the way. But like, what I'm meaning is, um, well, I don't even know what I'm meaning, because I'm not even trying to judge what the guy has behind him. So, I mean,
No,
I
I know,
guess
I know.
I guess
You just have to have
people,
more
yeah.
thought put into it.
Oh, of course,
It's
yeah.
like
I
they gotta
think
understand.
yeah, I think this whole Corona quarantine thing, definitely has like made people a little crazy, looking for like announcements of new games, because we've had a drought, like as you said before, like right now we'd be talking about like E3 stuff that was just
For
announced and
sure.
everything.
Yeah.
And that would pretty much, do us good for the entire month of June. So, it's definitely very different for everyone. So I can see why, us and others went to that conclusion of Let's Go Johto being announced. But, overall, I think this game does have potential. Something that I tweeted out was, I would like to see it on PC, even though that's probably way out of field because it's a Nintendo game and Pokemon, obviously. But I think that, if you wanted to compete with League of Legends at least, then, you could put it on PC. That's just my thought, but obviously they're going to end up putting it on Switch and mobile. So, hopefully it does good, and I will definitely be trying it out whenever it comes out, probably end of this year.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think it'll be interesting. I'll definitely give it a download, I think.
Yeah, yeah, free to play.
Like I'll give it
Yep.
a try. I don't know. I mean, eh. Like just
Yeah, it's just kind of Yeah.
just an situation. Um,
I feel the Pokemon
yeah.
community has just kind of blown this totally out of proportion that you were talking about, when people were
Oh,
crying
for
on Twitter
sure,
about it. Like, I think
bro.
the
You
Smash
would have
and
thought
Pokemon
like,
community. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I was just gonna say you would have thought like the Pokemon company like headquarters got nuked and they were never making a new game like ever again. By the way, people were talking like this doesn't impact the other games. You're still gonna get your Diamond and Pearl remakes. It's just not gonna be this year, which wasn't like no one reasonably thought it was gonna be this year anyway. So I
Yeah.
don't understand.
And
It's
you want
just
to look at this from
weird.
another standpoint as well. I mean, even like talk about, you can bring Sword and Shield into this. Obviously, how they just released the first DLC. Like, with how controversial that game has been from release and even before with all the National Dex stuff, you're gonna basically throw all of that news under the desk, I guess, like hypothetically, I suppose, and just announce this new MOBA and put a bunch of attention on it. like, is that not like something that you'd want to be doing right now? Don't you want to put the attention on the DLC so it does well? Like, that's something that I didn't understand either. Like, I think the first Pokemon Presents was fine because those games were like side games and they didn't really affect anything like Pokemon Mainline. But this game sounds like it's going to be something that's going to be like frequently updated and going for a while unless it just flops at release. So I think like their plan is to have this kind of have a similar to League of Legends like life sort of like, in gaming, and
Yeah.
just to like live on, right? So I just don't really understand why you announced the DLC again with how controversial Sword and Shield has been and all of the complaints that even the DLC has had that we talked about last episode with the frames and the graphics and all of that stuff. And like, what do you think of that? Like, you know,
I just think I mean they really like
like, you get
this
what I'm
was
saying.
well, I get what you're saying 100%, that like it like the Pokemon, the way, okay, I hate saying the word gamers because it's just stupid, but the
It's a
way
meme,
gamers
basically. Yeah.
view Pokemon right now is like it's not good. No one looks at the current status of Pokemon and goes, "Yeah, I'm 100% like confident in where this franchise is going." So I do agree that announcing a MOBA at this time seems weird, but
Not good.
at the same time, it's being developed by a completely different team. It's being developed by Tencent and Teamy Studios, which is a subsidiary of Tencent. So it's not really like related to Game Freak and all that, all the hate that they're getting. And B, these games are like huge undertakings, even though this is a smaller title. I mean, it's still a freaking MOBA. Like the amount of balancing that has to go into this game has definitely been
Hmm.
in development for at least 2 years.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like you can't really not announce it if it's gonna come out later this year, and they've like probably already told like investors, or like they've already been planning on this game coming out this year for like a multiple years. So
Hmm.
it's just, I mean, it's just a sticky situation. I just think that they should have announced that what was being shown off here was not a mainline. Like they should have announced that they didn't even have to say it was a MOBA. Just say, hey, this isn't like a mobile, or like this is a spin-off, like a new spin-off project bringing new gameplay to the Pokemon franchise.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even that could have been better. I like I think your point about Game Freak not really being involved doesn't really like account to what I'm saying with because it's like hands down it's just Pokemon when you look at it. It is Pokemon like, when you don't think about the developers. Just the fact that that's taking away attention from people buying the DLC and playing Sword and Shield, which is the game that's going on right now. Like it feels like they've just kind of moved on with that and are just like gonna
Eh.
release these two DLCs and be like, okay, cut the losses. Like, I don't like that's
but
what
but
it
is
feels like.
anyone
Even
gonna
though
see
like
this?
financially,
Yeah, I get that, but is anyone gonna see Pokemon Unite and go, "Oh, the Crown Tundra, I ain't buying that"? Like, no one's gonna, like. I don't think that's gonna be
yeah, no, it,
the
it like again, not financially, but I'm talking about like people discussing the DLC and
Yeah,
like
I get
ultimately
that. I
getting
get
people
that.
to buy it. Like, I mean, just taking like attention away from the DLC pack that has come out and is going to come out. Just what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think that's gonna be weird. It's
Hmm.
just generally weird. But then you could say that for like any of the stuff they announced in the first Pokemon Presents too. Like the sentiment kind of carries over. Like
Yeah,
you could
I
say
suppose, but
Pokemon
those are
Snap.
like, yeah, I mean, those are like defined side games. So like this, like they had put this as a big announcement, which I mean, like it is, but it wasn't in the way that people like saw it, right? So
Yeah.
like that's I don't know, it's just what I mean. Like
No, I
Sword and
understand what you
Shield,
mean.
yeah,
I don't I think the thing is, like, I view this as like a small side game, like on the
yeah,
same level as like Pokemon Masters, if you
yeah,
remember
yeah,
that.
yeah. I just think that they don't consider it as what you're saying.
Yeah,
Like that,
I could see
that's
that.
what
I
I'm
could
saying right
definitely
now.
see that.
Like I just think this game has been really set up to fail with how it's been announced right now and the Sword and Shield controversy. Like I just feel like people are gonna hate on it when it doesn't really deserve to be hated on.
Oh, 100%. I do agree with that. I think it should be given a fair chance.
Like
Um,
Sword and Shield
but
is
yeah.
just a ongoing dumpster fire for pretty much like everything going on in the franchise right now. Like seriously, like I like small side rant, but you're gonna tell me that like the Nintendo Switch and everything can't support friggin' like bike riding and like road and bikes
Yeah.
speeding up your bike and like
I mean,
snow
bro,
going
Breath
on
of
in
the
the wild
Wild has a
area.
motorcycle. Breath of the Wild has a literal motorcycle, and you can't have a bicycle going in the Pokemon Wild area, which looks 20 times worse graphically.
Yeah, I don't get it. I just don't get it at all. And like back to the point where you can have Pokemon follow you on the Isle of Armor, but it's only the Isle of
Oh,
Armor, by the way. It
yeah.
can't be the wild area in the main area of Galar because you know what? Guess what? It's gonna lag too much because if there's snow, you're gonna drop to 15 FPS. There's gonna be rain, you're dropping to 15 FPS. It's so sad. Like
God forbid it's a
oh
sandstorm.
yeah, oh god, even worse. Like
Or you run
it's
it on
just
PowerPoint.
yeah,
You got them
yeah.
PowerPoint frames.
PowerPoint presentation by Game Freak / Pokemon Company. Everyone, I present to you the wild area of Sword and Shield. Like, bro, it's hard. It's hard
Rough.
to watch, man.
It is. You hate to see it.
I mean, I just really hope that, obviously going on the side ramp, I hope that this is fixed for the Diamond and Pearl remakes. Again,
Oh yeah, of course.
you
I
tell
mean, yeah.
okay, think about this. Oh my God, what's the mountain called?
Coronet, or is that
It's
not
not.
even
It's not.
related?
Not Corona, dude.
What are
Like
you
Diamond and
talking
Pearl, my
about?
favorite. Yeah, hang on.
Is this in Diamond and Pearl, or are you?
Yes,
Oh,
hang on.
Mount. Oh my
Okay, Mount
goodness.
Coronet. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
there we go. Mount Coronet and
Okay.
Spear
Where was it?
Pillar, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
that's like
yeah.
a very mountainous area. There's a lot of snow because it's outside of Snow Point City, and traveling to Snow Point City, there is a huge blizzard going on. So, okay, think about Sword and Shield right now. Say they take out the wild area and these FPS issues are going to stay around. Think about trekking through Mount Coronet or let alone going to Snow Point City being in this huge blizzard in just like it lagged back then, but it wasn't like that. You didn't have those expectations, but like if
Hmm.
the die oh man, it's just gonna
Yeah.
be crazy if that still happens. Like they gotta figure it out somehow.
It's gonna be rough. As we usually do, we went off on a pretty big side tangent. We talked more about Pokemon Sword and Shield than Pokemon Unite, but I think, to bring it all back, that really does kind of say like that in itself says what we need to say about
Yeah,
Pokemon Unite. It looks
definitely.
meh, but it's so like it looks painfully average, and there's nothing unique we can talk about it right now. Like we just don't know
Yeah,
enough
like the
about it, and it
gameplay
looks
that
like
we
an
saw.
average.
Yeah, like the gameplay that we saw was like, I mean, okay, it's kind of cool, but it's not like, oh my god, crazy. Like
Yeah.
I just take it back to Sword and Shield and just like my thoughts about the future of the franchise and how it can, possibly be going downhill. And it's like my
For
favorite
sure.
games. Like I'm just talking about like the weather. Like the weather worries me because of the frame issues that I'm gonna have. And like this is kind of funny. And on top of that, like, can you imagine me just having a bunch of frame lag going through like weather areas, like rain and snow and everything, and then also have my drifting Joy Cons be an issue? Like
Let's go.
I'd just throw them against the wall and just walk away. I don't know, man. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god. But
Brutal. Unfortunate.
yeah, like basically what I'm trying to say, at least to kind of conclude before we move on to the fan questions, I feel like this game was set up to fail based on the dumpster fire that has been Sword and Shield, at least opinions from the fans. It does look pretty average as of now. The gameplay looked, decent. Obviously, not fully released. I'm going to assume it was a beta of some sort, but
Hmm.
hopefully that can, get better when we see more info about it. But
For sure.
it's definitely been set up to fail. I mean, like a lot of negative opinions going on about the main Lion series game right now that you just cannot ignore when you talk about this new game Pokemon Unite. Like the first thing I talked about, like, when we were talking about Pokemon Unite is how it can take attention from the DLC that just came out. And if you remember, we made a video talking about how could like foreshadow the future of the series, talking about if the DLC does very badly, will they, switch up the game style back to, the original Pokemon formula, and not go the wild area route. Um, you know, just stuff like that.
Yeah. We shall
See?
see.
Yeah.
We shall see. Yeah, moving on to the fan questions. You want to
Yep.
just start
Yep.
asking some of them?
Definitely. Definitely. So, first up, we got a question from Hacker 2077 saying, or asking, I should say, I always say saying, Question for the next Nintendo Tonight. Do you guys think you will ever join the Nintendo Ambassador Program? Plus, Thomas, well done on the Nintendo Direct.
Ah, thank you, good sir.
So you can go ahead
Um,
with that.
Okay, Nintendo Ambassador Program. So for those of you guys who don't know, the Nintendo Ambassador Program, so Nintendo sends out, review copies of games to various publishers and various YouTubers. Originally, they would only send review copies to big publishers. I'm talking like USA Today, like IGN, like the really big ones who get invited out and like, play the games early and have relationships with the company. They would only send them out to them, and like the individual YouTubers, I'm talking like I'll just name names here, like Nathaniel Bandy, like Arlo. I don't know like specifically for those guys, but I'm just talking like the individual YouTuber like personalities you
Yeah.
would watch instead of like the big like companies essentially. The YouTubers, Nintendo would not send them out anything. Nintendo just would like didn't like acted as if they didn't exist. As time went on, Nintendo realized that they could get free marketing out of these YouTubers, so they created something called the Nintendo Brand Ambassador, which is different from the Nintendo Creators Program, which is a whole that thing was terrible, but luckily it's dead now. Nintendo
Yes.
Brand
Yes.
Ambassador basically means that you apply for it. I think you have to have over like 50,000 subscribers. I don't know if that's a lie. It could be 10,000. I don't know. And basically you have to or when you apply, they review your content. They either accept you or decline you, and then dependent on how much Nintendo thinks, like how much marketing Nintendo thinks you can provide and all that, they will send you different stuff. So some YouTubers get sent like boxes full of like Nintendo toys to unbox live for videos, and then some YouTubers can barely even get copies of the newest games like in time for a review. It's just overall I've heard really poor things about the system. I've heard that it's relatively messy. Obviously, I think I speak for PJ and I. Nintendo has been
Mhm.
such an incredibly huge instrumental part of our lives. I mean, at least for me, I would say
Of
Nintendo
course.
is like the most important company because this channel like is my life basically. Like it sounds stupid, but like I spend more time on this than I'd say I do anything else, like any one thing in my life.
Mhm.
So just like I've been playing Nintendo games for as long as I can remember. If I were in any way able to work with the company in any sort of capacity, I would say that that would be a dream come true and probably like the proudest moment of my life. Do I think that'll happen? I have absolutely no idea. And
Yep.
we have not applied for Nintendo brand ambassador just because, I mean, neither of us really know 100% like all the ins and outs of it. And we don't want to apply too early because then if we
Yep.
get denied, we can't really apply again later. So I mean, we haven't really thought about it. We haven't like sat down and talked about it and
Of
truly thought
course.
about it. But somehow working with Nintendo, we'd both love to do that eventually. I think.
Yeah, I completely echo off, what you're saying, and we're not typically like a review gaming type channel, I guess. So I don't know if that would, be like all good for us, at least for right now. But the future will definitely tell for what kind of route we want to go with that. So
Definitely,
yeah.
100%.
So moving on, we have a question from Blazing, and he asks, "Which do you guys have?" Okay, which do you guys prefer? You put haven't. Okay, anyway, which do you guys prefer, Breath of the Wild or Odyssey? And I will go first. I personally prefer Breath of the Wild. Odyssey is an all-time great Mario game, but Breath of the Wild just changed the complete scenery, like literally, for Zelda and the future of Zelda, and made it completely different and did a great job at that. I think Breath of the Wild is a masterpiece and one of the best games ever, honestly. So, Mario Odyssey is definitely an all-time great Mario game, but I personally prefer Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. I feel the same way in terms of so personally I think my answer for this would be Odyssey considering I just had more fun with that game because I like like I like platformers more than I like adventure games. Um but I would have like Breath of the Wild is by far like the more impactful game. Breath of the Wild changed the fiber of what Zelda is and impacted not just like it completely changed the franchise of Zelda, but not just that, it like impacted like pretty much every game like that comes after it, at least in terms of open world. Like it was just like a meteor and it just changed so much on impact. I had more fun with Odyssey, but it's just like it's another incredible Mario game, but it didn't really change the franchise of Mario. Like there's not going to be,
Yep.
like Nintendo's already making Breath of the Wild
Yep.
2, which means they're going to make more open world Zeldas and all that. Like Mario Odyssey, I don't think it changed.
It didn't
Like,
change anything.
yeah,
It was an all-time great game because it was obviously on one of the most successful consoles ever. But Breath of the Wild changed everything for Zelda and the future
100%.
as we know it. And I just think it's going to be regarded as the greater game, at least on an all-time scale.
For
That's just
sure.
me.
I concur.
So next we have a question from Boss Killer asking, do you guys think that Nintendo will enter the VR market one day?
Labo VR, baby. Let's go. Okay.
No, but like on a VR scale, I'm assuming on like a VR scale, like an Oculus Rift or
Yeah.
whatever you used to play Beat Saber because you
Oculus
went on
Quest.
a
Let's go. Okay. I
Quest.
can
There you go.
actually answer this because I'm pretty like
Involved in VR, yeah.
involved with the VR market.
Hmm.
So do I think okay, so that's really interesting. Honestly, I would say no, at least for the time being. And I believe that's because Nintendo knows that VR is just barely getting consumer ready. I would say
Yep.
Oculus Quest is the first ever like consumer ready headset that is like affordable and made for the masses because you don't need a gaming computer for it. You don't need to set up sensors because of the inside out tracking, which basically means there are cameras on the headset that track you instead of you setting up external cameras that track you. Um it's cheap. It's only $400, which compared to like Valve Index, which is like 1,000, I mean it's cheap. And yeah, you don't need a VR computer, so all the games run off the headset itself with its mobile chipset. So Oculus Quest, I would say, is the first ever consumer friendly VR headset. Um, I don't think Nintendo would ever make a VR headset that isn't in the same line as the Oculus Quest because obviously they're never going to make a VR headset that runs off a computer or something that isn't made by Nintendo. The only way they could make a VR headset that doesn't run off itself would be if it runs off like a Nintendo console similar to how PlayStation VR runs off the PS4.
Hmm.
But the thing with that is I just do not see Nintendo making a console powerful enough to run VR. So like Labo VR technically does it, but on a very very technical like hey, we can theoretically do this level. But in terms of like pushing that like you can't really because the thing with VR is you have to like if you're playing a game like God of War, I'll give another example. Beautiful game, probably the best looking game I have ever played. There are occasional frame rate stutters in that game where because I optimized performance or no, I optimized uh, picture rather than performance. I think those are the two settings it gives you. So I favor resolution. So there are occasional frame rate stutters in that game. If you get a frame rate stutter in VR, your entire world like stands still for a second. It can be terribly like if you're in the
Hmm.
process of turning your head and you get a frame rate stutter, like I am a huge VR fan and even that'll like make me be like, "Whoa, okay, I need to pause, stand still in the pause menu. Okay, now I'll go back into it because it's just jarring. Your eyes aren't like accustomed to it. So I think to answer your question in a completely long and like I just love talking about video games. Oh my god,
Yeah,
I'm
of
such
course.
such a nerd. But
What's
okay,
what it for?
my
What
my
this is for? I should say.
I guess yeah. But my answer to your question, whoever asked, I think Hacker Man, something like that,
I will find the
would
name for you. Go ahead.
okay. The answer would be if Nintendo makes VR, it would be in probably about 15 or 20 years. And by VR, I mean like a fully dedicated like VR headset, like not like Labo VR, like, hey, this is a fun, cute distraction. I mean, if they fully get invested in VR, I'm talking like making AAA games specifically for VR. That would be like 15, 20 years down the road because they're not going to jump into that when the tech isn't ready because they learned their lesson with the Virtual Boy. If
Yep.
if you're in VR and tech isn't ready, consumers get headaches and that's just not the image Nintendo wants to put out at all.
Yep. Definitely. Yeah, you you definitely went on with that for a little bit. And the
Yeah, dude,
person
I
who
could
asked
talk
that
about
was
VR for
Boss
so
Killer.
long.
Yeah, the
Oh,
person who asked
Boss
that was
Killer.
Boss Killer.
Okay.
Yep.
I could talk about VR
Oh, of
forever, dude.
course.
It's some of the stuff they're doing is crazy with eye tracking. I'll tell you about it after the podcast, but it's just
Sure.
nuts. Like there's some
Yeah.
crazy stuff.
Nice. Good looks. Moving on, we have a question from Ethan Mastercrafter asking, why do I keep saying that? Asking, first off, glad to see people are watching this podcast. Yeah, me too. It is
Yeah.
great to listen. Thank you. What do you guys think the next gen of 2D Mario could look like? You go ahead.
Okay. I don't know. I think just in terms, I'm gonna focus on the word you said, look like. Because I know you mean like what is it going to be like, but
Mm-hmm.
I think in terms of look like, graphically, it's gonna have to be different. Just that's all. Like just something different. It can't be the same like 3D models running in a 2D plane of new Super Mario style thing because that's been done to death and people will look at it and be like, oh, it's just another new Super Mario Bros game. Like, I'm not saying go full Cuphead like 2D animated thing, but maybe take the Rayman Legends approach where it's more sprite based, like a sprite based 2D platformer where everything, like every asset in the game, is hand drawn for that specific situation, and it looks like you could pause Rayman Legends at any point, and it looks like an oil painting because of how the assets are shaded and textured. I don't know how that would necessarily work with Mario, but it has to. I'm not saying like that exact art style, but it has to be in that vein where it can be immediately distinguished from past 2D Mario games.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just don't want to see another new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe Switch Edition featuring
Yeah,
Funky
retweet on
Kong
that one.
plus Luigi's Balloon World kind of thing going on. So,
Featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. I feel like 3D Mario is just the wave now, and anything that we'll see from
No
2D
way.
Mario will probably be a port of some sort. That's what I think,
Bro, that's why
at
3D World
least.
is the best. It's got the
Of
3D
course.
Mario because that's the wave, but it's got 2D Mario though because it's like linear. I mean, honestly, like I know you said 2D Mario, but I do think that that 3D World style is the future of 2D Mario, and I
Oh
know that
yeah.
doesn't make sense because it's not 2D, but I
Yeah,
do feel
but
like
yeah.
that's the future.
Yep. Yeah, totally. I agree with you there. Moving on to Twitter, aside from YouTube now, Twitter questions. First coming from
Oh,
Roblox
tweet
lover.
us at Nintendo tonight. I just had to
Yes,
get
of
that in there.
course, of course. Coming from Roblox lover 1524, great at by the way. When would you think the next 3D Mario game will come out? Not the remastered games. So I think the next 3D Mario is probably gonna be Odyssey 2, and I'm thinking that for probably a holiday 2021 release. Um, yeah, I just don't think anything else will really be before that. And this is, once again, for clarity, Thomas, this is not talk about the
Yeah,
rumored remake slash remaster games.
for sure. I think I'm gonna go actually exactly what you said, but I'm gonna bump it back a year. I'm gonna say holiday 2022
Mm.
because I believe that if Nintendo is
Oh, Breath of the Wild,
remaking
right?
slash remastering, well, even yeah, well, Breath of the Wild 2 could be 2021, but I just think
Hmm.
if Nintendo's remaking slash remastering or just bringing in any shape or form 3D World, Galaxy 1, Galaxy 2, Sunshine, and 64, or any combination of those to the Switch this year, then I think they might take a break for 3D Mario. Not take a break, internally and not develop one, but I mean just in terms of publishing one because that's I mean, damn dude, that's a lot of 3D Mario games. So they might just
Yeah,
take a breather for a minute and then plop one out in 2022 or maybe even later.
yeah, agreed, agreed. I think you can kind of swap the dates of Breath of the Wild 2 and Odyssey 2. I think either one is going to be coming out holiday 2021, holiday 2022. I think those are like the future
Yeah,
holiday
for
games
sure.
for 21 to 22 at least. So,
Hmm.
definitely excited for that. So, moving on here, we have a question from David saying, do you think it's possible a sixth title from the Mario and Luigi series, even though Alpha Dream filed for bankruptcy? So, basically, he's saying, do you think there's any sort of possibility that those games will make a, come back to the Switch?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, legally, it is possible. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because both. I mean, Mario and Luigi are both Mario or both Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure Nintendo could even remake some of the older ones without Alpha Dream because they own the I they own like the franchise of Mario and Luigi. So I mean, theoretically, it is possible. I don't see necessarily why Nintendo would, at least not for a while, because we're getting a new Paper Mario this year.
Mhm.
So I don't see the rush. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, I guess I don't really
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I think I kind of think, there could be a port of some sort on the Switch, somewhere in the really far future, or if they somehow get to like Nintendo DS Online, I don't think that's ever gonna happen because that's probably like 40 years away with the pace that Nintendo is going.
Oh yeah,
But
for sure.
I don't know. Probably not. That I think they just kind of leave the series dead where it is. That's just me. So moving on, we have a question from Alex asking, "What's your guess on the next big first-party game after Origami King?" And as always, keep up the great work, guys. Thank you very much.
Wow, such
Yeah, go
nice,
ahead.
such nice comments today. I feel
Exactly,
like
dude. Yeah, so
everyone's
kind.
being very kind. Thank you guys all so much. I mean, honestly, for the meme, I'm just gonna say 3D World Deluxe. Like, I really, I don't know.
Seriously, do you think
So
that? Oh, okay.
I don't know. I really think that like any of the I think actually, yeah, okay. I'm gonna go on a limb and say I think it's gonna be a port. I don't think they're gonna release another new game next because since we do know nothing about what is next, I think they'll probably announce a new game for like whatever the holiday game is,
Yep.
and a port generally around the same time, and the port will come out first. Whether that port is 3D World Deluxe or Pikmin 3 Deluxe, I don't really know. But just because I mean, like 3D World Deluxe, come on, like of course I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. 3D World Deluxe ongoing meme, dude. Yeah, I pretty
Right.
much agree with
Yeah.
you though. I mean, that's probably gonna happen. I mean, we've kind of talked it into existence, so um,
If it happens, it's
yeah.
entirely me. The credits will roll, and it's just gonna say Thomas. That's it.
Bye, Thomas from Switch Stop. Thank you.
Yeah, created by me, even though I did not
Yep.
write a single line of code, design a single asset. Yeah, I mean, if they took my 3D World Deluxe logo,
Oh yeah.
then
Yeah.
that's I would not sue Nintendo. I would never sue you
Oh,
guys for
somebody
making
would
3D
be
World Deluxe.
angry in your emails, so I know that.
Oh, for sure. Did we ever talk
Oh,
about that on the podcast or
we have
no?
not. Yeah, you can. I mean, you can talk about that
Uh,
if you want, but if not,
do
I'll
we
move
want
on.
to?
I
Yeah,
mean, no, no,
I
I
think
don't
we
think we
move
leak
on.
it. I don't
Yeah,
think
I
we
don't think
leak
we
it.
leak that. It's a funny
Yep,
story, but it's
it
a
is.
story for maybe another day.
Yep. Okay, so we're gonna have two more questions, and they're both gonna be about Mario Kart, just for
Dude, I love Mario Kart.
exactly.
Let's do it.
So first up, question from Jaden Poof asking. I almost said saying again. Jeez, man. Thoughts
Bro.
on possible? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, bro, don't say saying. I mean, it doesn't actually matter. Like,
Yeah, I
no
know, I
one
know.
cares, but it's just,
Oh, I know. I just
kind of
keep
funny.
catching myself
Yeah, I
here.
got you.
Asking thoughts on possible new Mario Kart coming to the Switch, and he says also very excited for 3D World. We are too.
Oh yes. Oh yes. I'm very excited.
So like Mario Kart 9, when do you think that's gonna come out? Because that's basically what's gonna be next in the series, I would assume.
I don't know. I don't know. I hate not knowing, but 2020 really just messed everything up. Like it's impossible to say what's going to happen now because we have no future to base it off of. I did make a video a while back talking about future of Mario Kart, saying how it's going to have to change pretty drastically from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because they're not going to release two very similar games on the console, considering that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is kind of one of those evergreen titles that can always sell. If they do make a new Mario Kart on the Switch, which I do believe they will do, it's gonna have to be maybe named Mario Kart World or something like that, and have a big single player element or something along those lines. And in that
It's
case,
gonna have to be something different because
yeah, there's
I
gonna
feel
have to
like
be a new mode.
I feel like until Mario Kart 8 Deluxe kind of slows down, they're stuck. Similar, like this is a console versus a game, but similar to how it was with the 3DS, like it was doing like still pretty good, but like they had to move on because the Switch was the next big thing, and obviously
Yeah,
that was the right way to go. I
for
mean,
sure.
like I even tweeted out, imagine if Mario Kart 9, and this kind of segues to our next question. I tweeted out like yesterday from recording this, saying, imagine if Mario Kart 9 had Mario Kart Wii and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe characters, Mario Kart Wii mechanics, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe graphics and carts plus new content. And I said, I think that would be the undisputed best Mario Kart game of all time. So, hopefully
Throw in
that.
some double dash modes in there, and
Oh
yeah, you
my
got yourself a
God, yeah.
winner.
Oh
I
yeah.
think I honestly okay, I'm gonna catch hate for this. I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe mechanics are the most refined mechanics in a Mario Kart game. I think Wii's mechanics are fun because they're busted, but then
Yes, exactly.
they're
Yeah.
busted. So
Oh
I
yeah.
don't want to play them like anymore. Like they're
It,
busted
yeah.
and they're fun, but it's like a time and a place.
Yeah,
So
it's like the same way with Melee,
yeah.
right? I mean, like
Oh, for
people
sure,
still
100%.
argue and cry about that game, and it's been like what 19 years or 18 years now since it came out on the GameCube in the early 2000s, and people still play it, and it's still extremely competitive. So I mean, just stuff like that. I think mechanics you can kind of relate it
Yeah,
between
for sure.
Mario Kart Wii and
That's
Melee,
actually
definitely.
really interesting. I never thought about that. Mario Kart Wii is really like the Melee of the Mario
Yes,
Kart
that's
series.
so true. Yeah, because like
It's got one character that
mhm.
everyone, yo, Funky Kong and Fox McCloud look very similar. They're the only characters that people use in those entire games. Those games were entirely like kept alive via like the online modding community.
Mhm.
They're generally regarded as the most competitive within their respective series, and like people who play those games like laugh down upon the people who play the newest entry because it's more casual.
Yep. Yeah.
That's so
Mhm.
what?
Yeah,
Yo, that's
isn't that a
nuts.
crazy? Yeah, it's kind of crazy that whole revelation we just came with now.
Oh my God, yeah. And you can even make stuff like the ultra shortcuts in Mario Kart Wii are like completely game breaking and
Yeah,
like
and
not intended at all, but they're
yeah,
now like you have to use them if you're like
yeah,
speed running that game. And it's
similar to like
yeah,
fan made mechanics like wave dashing and like
a hundred
all
percent.
bunch of the cancels that have been fan made by this whole 18-year long competitive melee community through many forum boards like Smash boards and all social medias and all that. But yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about that like comparison between the two games. Um,
Yeah,
and like the people who like play Melee and like Mario Kart Wii competitively, like it's not like gatekeeping, but they're just very like protective, I guess, because like
yeah,
gatekeeping is considered like trying to keep something like secret within a community. But like they're very very defensive over such like an older game compared to obviously Ultimate
a hundred
and
percent. Yeah,
Mario Kart 8
8
Deluxe. So
Deluxe.
yeah.
Huh. Damn. Okay, well, you just blew my mind. What's the last question?
So last question here from Connor Francis, and he asks, for Mario Kart 9, do you guys believe Nintendo will implement any of the new characters and renders from Mario Kart Tour? Keep up the great work on the podcast. Thank you, dude. Appreciate that. Yes, I do. I do. I think and hope they bring back Funky Kong because he was just introduced into the game not too long ago, I believe.
Yep, you're
Um,
right. In the Jungle
and
Tour, along with Dixie
mhm,
Kong, actually, who would be a
yes,
first for the Mario or mainline Mario Kart games.
yeah. Um, I think they could even put Pac-Man in there just like generally from that because there was like a
Oh,
Mario
from the
Kart,
arcade.
yeah, Mario
Yeah.
Kart Pac-Man arcade game. I think across America and in Japan, I believe,
Yeah,
or it might be
I've played
Japan
it a few
exclusive. Oh,
times. Mario
okay,
Kart
there you go.
Arcade GP or whatever.
Yeah, it's like I think it might be DX. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, I think they would eventually put in some of the characters and like new carts and just like mechanics from Mario Kart Tour. Like I talked to you even about like the multiplier from Mario
Uh-huh.
Kart Tour, including that. Like I feel like that game has kind of served as I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's definitely gave us some like good new like mechanics sort of for the Mario Kart series that can be
Yeah,
implemented
for
into a
sure.
Mario Kart sequel for mainline console. So definitely, I think Mario Kart Tour is very important, or I want to think it's very important towards at least the sequel because it would change up a lot of stuff. And I just like to see Funky Kong back because it didn't really make any sense how he was cut in the first place. But yeah.
Yeah. I honestly do think so Nintendo just in terms of I'll talk about this for just a brief sec. Try not to go on a huge tangent. In terms of costumes in Mario
Okay.
Kart, Nintendo has never really done that before until Mario Kart 8, specifically the Mario Kart 8 DLC. If you pre-ordered or ordered the expansion bundle or the DLC
Hmm.
bundle, you would get um a I don't exactly like the pack or whatever of of DLC stuff. It would include basically multiple colored Shy Guys. So when you chose like a Shy Guy or a Yoshi for that matter, when you went to select a Yoshi, instead of just immediately giving you green Yoshi and that's it, it would bring up a sub menu where you could choose black Yoshi, white Yoshi, yellow Yoshi, red Yoshi, and there were 9 total options. And then everyone thought that that was just because Shy Guys and Yoshis could easily have color variants. But then in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they introduced a new character who went pretty under the radar for everyone. Um, Gold Mario, who I forget how you unlock him. It's been too long, but
Yeah.
Gold Mario was accessed when you click on Metal Mario. He was like an alt skin for that. And then for the Inkling character, there were like alternate Inkling skins. Um, like there was like a I'm not even gonna bother trying to describe them because I don't remember the differences. But like
I know it's
they
all
still,
good.
I'm pretty sure they were
Generalizing.
actually the same alts as like the Smash Bros. Inkling alt, but doesn't matter. So when you click on Inkling, Inkling boy or Inkling girl, each of them have 3 alts. It would bring you up your own little costume thing there. And then the only substantial update to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe ever brought in the champion like Breath of the Wild Link as a costume for normal Link. So they actually have added a bit of like a fair amount of costumes within the DLC for Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So I think that they're leaning into that and it's kind of a foreshadowing of Mario Kart 9. They're going to bring in costumes. So when you click on Mario, this could do with the coins. Like maybe there's a shop in this game and in the main campaign or the main Mario
Oh
Kart
yeah.
campaign, you can unlock different skins, and that's a reason you would play through the main campaign because then you can use those skins in multiplayer or online, and you
Yeah.
can get Hakama Mario, Gold Mario, Mario Classic. I'm just
Yeah.
naming off
Make
a
it
bunch
like
of
a
Mario
grind.
ults.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Ice Mario. You could get like all the stuff that you have to waste real life money pulling like a pipe to get in Mario Kart Tour. You could get through grinding in-game currency in Mario Kart 9,
Yeah.
and that
They
would be like that would be awesome.
Yeah, they have to be really careful with microtransactions though, because that's a very
I don't think they
controversial
would do
sort of.
microtransactions in Mario
Yeah,
Kart
but
9.
like, the idea of that when you start talking about like opening pipes and all that for like for
No, I,
just.
I was saying that for Mario Kart Tour. I don't think they do that for Mario
Oh,
Kart
okay.
9.
Yeah, yeah, okay, okay.
I think you would just buy like from the shop. Like that's actually something I wanted them to do this in Ultimate, but then I realized that you can't really do that because in Ultimate like there are 8 alts, and then if you had like 8 players playing as the same thing, each one would have to use a different ult. So if someone didn't have like that ult unlocked, it wouldn't really work. But I want them to make it so you would have to buy different alts from the shop because I feel like the shop in Smash Bros. Games has always been incredibly underutilized. Um, there has never been a shop in a Mario Kart game, at least. I mean, yeah, no, I'm not even gonna say at least. There's literally never been one. So I would love to see that make its way, and then maybe the further you progress in Mario Kart, campaign, Mario Kart 9's campaign, the more stuff appears in the shop. Maybe Lakitu could be the shopkeeper or whatever, and you pay him with your
Mm-hmm.
coins you get from racing to buy these alts that they wouldn't do anything. I mean, they wouldn't improve your racing, but they could feature new trick animations, some cool new voice lines, and just be a new model and be pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely like great ideas there. They could even like when you talk about a story mode, they could even do something similar to Sonic Riders if you remember that game from GameCube and just having to like race the enemies, like have dialogue based on what character you choose, and like say Mario has to like race Bowser or something like that in like a big race. And like there's a lot of like ideas they could have with like a defined story mode for Mario Kart 9. But to kind of answer the question about just taking stuff from Mario Kart Tour, I do think they will eventually go to that route for
Yeah,
this eventual sequel, whether it be on the Switch or the next console. I think it'll definitely take some attributes from that game.
for sure. That was the last question, correct?
Yeah, it was.
All right. Well, with that out of the way, that was episode 6. We want to thank you guys all so much for watching. As we said earlier, or listening, I guess, because it's a podcast. Uh, Speaking of listening, you can listen to us on iTunes and Spotify. We have been getting some requests for Google play music. We might be looking into that in the future. For now, it's just iTunes and Spotify, though. However, I mean, you can make a free Spotify account and listen there. So hopefully
Yeah.
that, resolves any problems. Also, obviously, it's on YouTube on this new Nintendo Tonight channel.
Yeah.
We want to thank you guys so much for listening. I mean, anything else you want to say, PJ?
Um, Sort of with the Google Play point. With Google Play, it just kind of makes it a bit more difficult for us to just kind of sign up for all of these different services. And like Spotify is free to download with, and you can listen to the podcast with it. So hopefully you guys can take that route. But if we get a huge amount of requests for Google Play, we'll definitely look into that and help you guys out. But for now, we're just going to stay on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But thank you guys for obviously listening and requesting for it to be listened on, other platforms that are convenient to you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hopefully that works out for everyone. Have any more questions? Tweet us at Nintendo Tonight or at SwitchTop or at PJ_SwitchTop. Those are both of our Twitters. And with that out of the way, thank you guys for listening. That was the 6th ever episode of Nintendo Tonight.